I am Deepa Punetha. I am Professor of Psychology in Department of Psychology, University of Allahabad, Allahabad. I would be presenting a paper 5, Module 14, and its title is Domains of Divergence. And in domains of divergence, what I want to say that in psychology, Freud was the first one who started to write about personality development, but he wrote everything about male personality. There was nothing about female personality, as if females do not exist. It is his theory which considers that male anatomy and masculinity is the human standard, and femininity and female autonomy are the deviation from the standard. And this was the statement later on made by Conroe, who in 1979, who emphasized that women's special nature nature and richness of women's inner experience has been an important resource for the cultural feminism. Cultural feminism are the movements within feminism, a movement within feminism that encourages women's culture, celebrates its special qualities of women, values in relation to women, and question is that what are the domains of divergence? In some of the areas of human behavior, may be some differences. In the following domains which are presented here are some divergence which has been found in the research work of the psychologist. The first area of difference is related to biological perspective, which indicates that why sex differences are there. Biologic view claims that importance of sex hormone in the sex difference. It persists that higher androgen level in males stimulate aggression, dominance, and other masculine behavior in men. In contrast to higher levels of estrogen in females inhibits such behavior in women. Physical and physiological differences are also there. Although there is no adequate explanation for the sexual dimorphism difference between sexes with respect to anatomy, there are cross-cultural differences resulting from dimorphism. First, role-related differences. Cross-cultural evidences show differential contributions of males and females towards subsistent activities. Fourth, females seem to have less power and status in social institutions and organizations. Fifth, there are some psychological differences, and in psychological differences, females show greater nurturant and responsible behavior than males. Males are more field independent than females. There is sex difference in expressive behavior. One indicator of this difference is the difference in dream content. Males' dreams show equal encounter with males and females in their dreams. Eighth, cross-cultural research indicates sex-linked social factors on responsibility and nurturance for girls and self-reliance for boys. Socialization. Differential reward and punishment and task assignment seem to work as mediators of socialization. Social learning in form of identification and imitation of model seem to produce sex difference in behavior, though there are moderate variables. There is also evidence for developmental cognitive theory. It persists that child actually processes, organizes gender related information that is culturally transmitted. So, there are some specific differences between males and females. For example, spatial ability. There is sex difference favoring males arise on some types of arise from types of spatial ability test, but not others. Large differences are found only in one measure of mental rotation. Small sex differences are found on measures of perception. Sex differences are also found. They can be detected in across lifespan. There are a small amount of gender differences favoring males. The magnitude of gender differences in spatial ability is dependent on the type of spatial ability and special tasks. The difference in higher complex tasks such as mental rotation compared to spatial perception. Seventh, the magnitude of difference is declining over the decades. Motor activity level. In general, males are more active than females. Second, the maximum sex difference in activity level is found in situations that offer good deal of latitude for the expression of individual difference. A familiar, non-threatening and unrestricted social situation. Age emerges as an important mediating variable. The relation between activity level, sex difference and age is primarily applicable from infancy to middle adolescence, and could be heterogeneous to extrapolate beyond this difference. Cognitive performance highlights the ability. There is a small amount of gender difference favoring males. The magnitude of gender difference in spatial ability is dependent on the type of spatial task. The difference is higher in complex tasks and such as mental rotation compared to the task of spatial perception. The magnitude of difference is declining over the decades. Verbal skills. There is slight female superiority in verbal performance. There is also trend for decline in sex difference in recent years. The view of number of difference may be accepted for all practical purposes. Mathematical performance. There is a small amount of gender difference in mathematical performance, and this difference does not emerge before high school years. There is also difference as a function of the level of complexity of cognitive tasks. Females are superior than males with respect to computation, while males are superior to females on problem solving. There is no sex difference in understanding mathematical concepts. Over the decades, the gender difference in mathematical performance is declining. Males are significantly better than females. Consider mathematics as a male domain. There is no sex difference on maths anxiety. There seems to be some support for the association between self concept and cognitive performance, and this needs further research. Achievement motivation. Sex difference in achievement is domain specific. Males tend to edge over females with respect to analytical skills, where females have to edge with respect to language skills. The subjective task value importance attached to the specific domain of skill is a strong predictor of both academic achievement plan and academic choice. Third, there is some evidence of sex difference in ability attribution. Women tend to explain their success and failure in terms of their ability more than the men do. Affiliative orientation. Girls tend to show great affiliative orientation than boys do. Women and girls spend more time with friends and less time than men do. Females report more interpersonal thoughts than males. There is a strong relationship between affiliation motive and daily experiences. Aggressive tendency. Aggressive tendency is the tendency when you try to harm others without any intention, without any reason. Aggressive tendency may be reflected in physical aggression, verbal aggression, damage to property, stealing something, disobedience, negativism, and jealousy. These are the forms of aggressive tendency. Men are more aggressive than women, and this sex difference is more pronounced for physical than psychological aggression. Psychological aggression is, trying to backbite some others, try to sarcastic, make sarcastic remark, and physical aggression is, just hitting someone, killing someone. When you physically damage something, that is called physical aggression. The extent of sex difference is decreasing over the decades. The differential belief regarding consequences of aggression seem to be the cause of difference. Women are have more guilt and anxiety for being aggressive. Helping behavior. Helping behavior is when you help others is considered to be a pro-social behavior, which is anti-aggressive tendency also. Men are more helpful than females in general. Men indicate greater degree of heroic and chivalric forms and assertive forms of helping than women, who render greater degree of relationship, dedicated and complicated form. Analysis of gender difference in power calls for 4 levels of analysis. Social system level. The larger social systems incorporates several potential sources of influence on the development of power and gender differences in power organization. Under interpretations of women in powerful positions reflect women's choice of job over career. Gender role socialization also forces women that female types occupations only are more important. Organizational parameters. Organizational practices involving publicity and recruiting explain, at least in part, the low level entry position of women into the positions. Factors involving performance appraisal, selection, and training system prevent women from being promoted to higher positions. Interpersonal motives. Distorted perception of power decreases women's access to mentors, collaborators, and networks, and this may in turn loosen their ability to gain power in organizations. The lack of power impair in women's ability to meet their subordinates' need and reduce their ability to gain power through subordinates. Individual difference factor. Women seem to more have lower self-confidence than men. Women appear to explain success in terms of external factors, luck, and failure in terms of internal factors, that is, ability. In contrast to males, tend to explain success in terms of internal factor, that is, ability, and failure in terms of external factor, which is luck. Although men and women do not differ in this regard of all aspiration, men have greater work role aspiration, whereas women have greater family related aspirations. Personality development. The sex difference in ego development is moderately large among the junior and senior high school students. Female are in advantageous position. The difference declines significantly among college age adults and disappears completely after old age men and women. Adolescent girls achieve developmental milestone earlier than boys. The areas of moral reasoning. Girls use care-oriented judgments, whereas boys use justice-oriented judgment. Yes, the advance in age, they make increasing use of both types of judgment. Social influence. Women are more easily influenced than are men. Gender difference in interaction style is more in the same sex groups than in mixed sex group. Men disagree more with men than with women, are more dramatic with women than with men. Men and women do not differ in influence strategy. Both men and women use masculine behavior, although agreement is related to effectiveness of influence induction. Under the some circumstances, the dependent also induces influence in the powerful person. Females yield more where their partners are highly dependent than where partners are less dependent. In contrast, males yield more when their partners are less dependent than when their partners are highly dependent. Group performance. Males indicate higher productivity than do females in both individual and group settings. Men men use active task behavior, whereas women use positive activity oriented interaction style in group setting. Some other differences: stress and coping. There are three broad classes of coping is categories. First is appraisal focused coping, problem focused coping, and third is emotion focused coping. There is some evidence that in comparison with men, women are more exposed to environmental stressors and have fewer supportive social resources and use less effect, efficacious coping patterns such as emotion focused coping. Occupational stress. Meta analytical review of the sex stress literature reveals that there is no sex difference in occupational stress. Depression. There is preponderance of women among depressive. Women report depression at a rate twice as high as men do. The appeal plausible that women's ruminative response set amplifies and their depressive systems, whereas man's active response style shortens the depressive symptoms. Happiness and well-being. Women report as much as global happiness as men do. Affective, affective intensity. Women indicate greater intensity than do men. That is, women experience high level of positive affect as well as negative affect. The studies indicate, though there are differences at biological level between men and males and females, but there are certain behavior which are studied in different cultural units, and more than societies discovered that because of socialization pressure that variance of behavior widens.